Good Monday morning, everybody. Yes, I am coming to you from my car. I could not get into my office this morning, and everybody is still asleep in the house. So this is a nice quiet place, and it's raining. I was going to do it from the porch, but it's like, sounds like, I don't know, lots of rain coming down on the roof. So couldn't do it there. So I came into the car. Okay, as promised, I wanted to answer some of your questions that I've been getting by email about amino acids. I got quite a few actually. Kristen sent me one, Naomi sent me one. There were a few emails of people wanting to try, feeling like now is a good opportunity to try amino acids. So I'm talking about like melatonin or tryptophan, 5-HTP, tyrosine, glutamine. These are amino acids that you can read about if you haven't already learned about them, that can help with things like anxiety and sugar and sleep and attention and focus and irritability and aggression. And I think you're right. I think now is a good time to experiment with them if you want to, if you've been kind of wanting to do this for a while, um, because you can watch your child really closely, right? And the nice thing about amino acids is when they work quickly. I say when they work because, there's always, I have found, well, until you get used to using them, there is often a learning curve and some trial and error that you have to do because there's not really good testing to say, okay, you do this test and this it shows us that you need, GABA would be a good supplement. We really just have to try it based on, make educated guesses, try it. And the nice thing about them is that when they work quickly. Like sometimes within minutes, sometimes within hours, sometimes within a couple of days, if you because sometimes you have to titrate up to the right dose. And the other nice thing about it is there are not side effects that you need to worry about in the way that medication you have to worry about weaning off. You can stop all the amino acids cold turkey if they're not working or they're working in a different way than you expect. So because it's kind of subjective and you have to watch your kids, now it's a good time, I think, if you have wanted to try this, to try it. So that's why I wanted to address these questions. Now, I can't give you real specific because I don't know your situation. And I'd need to know way more about the whole picture in order to really target a protocol for you, which I can do. We can set up an appointment and I can do that. And I also actually have all of this. If you're new to amino acids and you're curious about them, I have it all laid out for you in the Advanced Nutrition for the Brain resource in my resource library, um, which walks you through how to use them as well as how to use supplements for the brain and such. So that would be a place to look if you're new to it. But I will give you some general pointers. Oh, my phone is warning me. I will give you some general pointers here about using amino acids. So because I do see a lot of people will use them and be like, yeah, it didn't work or it backfired or something. And then I find out a little bit more and they weren't actually using them correctly. So I want to kind of clear some of those things up. So should you want to try this, you have a good base of knowledge. So one is that amino acids always work best when they are absorbed in the mouth. So you will find some chewables, which is great. Those would be a great choice for a child. You will find it in liquids, which is also a great option. You will also often find them in capsules, though. And there are some really good amino acids in capsules, but if you get a capsule, first of all, a child probably isn't going to swallow a capsule. They may or may not swallow a capsule, but even still, it's best to open up those capsules and put the amino acids on the tongue because they always absorb better that way. So that's the first one. Second one is that I see people starting too high. So too much all at once, and that can be a little tricky to figure out, which is what I can help you with, but I can't really help you with because I don't know your child, but if we get to know each other, then I can. But people will start out really high, and the symptoms for having too much of an amino acid is the same as not having enough, similar to not having enough. So if you're trying to ease anxiety, tension, hyperactivity, something like that by using, let's say, GABA or tryptophan, and you use too much all at once, you might see a worsening of the symptoms. And that doesn't mean that you've picked the wrong amino acid. It just means it might, but it might also mean that you've gone too high. So with a child, I usually start under 100 milligrams of any amino acid, usually, with potentially the exception of glutamine. Sometimes we'll start higher with that one, but and then slowly build up. So this is why I said earlier, sometimes it takes a couple of days to see if this is going to work. That would be the reason why. So if you try it and it does nothing, try it again, a little higher, a little higher, a little higher, a little higher, until you decide if this is a good strategy for you. And again, I can't tell you where to max out because I don't know your child. It's going to depend on their weight. It's going to depend on a lot of things. But I want you to know that that is a mistake that I see. What else? If one good way to ease into this is for you to try it. Because I find with the clients that I've worked with, a lot of the parents have similar symptoms to the kids. They just may manifest them in different ways, for example, or it might be to a different degree. So I see this a lot with anxiety, for example. Like once we talk through it about like in relation to the child, the mom is like, oh yeah, that's me too. And if that's the case, it's really helpful for you to try this first to see how it feels, see what it does, because often, you're very similar to your child. And then if you give it to your child, you kind of know what to expect. So I'll throw that out as a little tip. Here's another thing that I see, a little bit of a mistake I see. And if you guys are here and you want to ask questions, or if you want to ask questions after in the comments, feel free to do so. I'll do my best to answer them, but do understand that, I can't give specifics. I can't be too specific because I don't know your child. But I do know that like a lot of you have read about amino acids and are curious about them and are interested in them. And I didn't want to let this opportunity pass by because you have them at home and, it might be a good time to experiment with them. So I didn't want to let this pass by without addressing some of your questions. And Kristen sent me a fairly specific one, so I'll try to address it specifically. But here's another thing that I see people doing with amino acids is that they are not meant to be long-term solutions. They're not meant to be used like medications, which also should not be long-term solutions, but sometimes are. But when people think about them as medications, I find them sort of falling into a dependency on them. So, you don't want to just replace your SSRI with tryptophan or with 5-HTP because it's like a natural alternative. You want to ask the question, why is this helping? If it's helping, always asking the question, why? Why is this helping? Why is my body not doing this on its own? Why is it not converting tryptophan to melatonin? Why is it not, creating enough GABA? That's where you'll find your solution. So amino acids can be amazing pressure valves, right? Just to release the pressure and to calm the anxiety or calm the tension or just sort of release some of the pressure. But then don't stop there, right? That's the beginning of the journey. Be like, okay, this worked. Awesome. So we have a little bit of breathing room. Now let's ask why, and let's figure out what the underlying situation is. And that could be anything from the 4 pillars of resilient health. It could be, missing nutrients. It could be, missing nutrients. Well, I won't get into that, but it could be missing nutrients. It could be, a food sensitivity that's causing a lot of inflammation that's interfering with, the creation of GABA. It could be, blood sugar irregularities. It could be something in the gut. There are a lot of these neurotransmitters and hormones that the amino acids are supporting are actually created in the gut. And there are certain bacteria that will eat them up. And so there are a lot of questions to ask, and I don't want to get too deeply into them, but what my point is should you choose to try an amino acid and it helps, awesome. But that's a first step. Now we have to ask, why did it help? And how can we wean the child off of it and not need it anymore? Because we want to get to the root. So usually if you need an amino acid beyond 3, 6, maybe 12 months, you haven't found the underlying issue. There's more to do. So just wanted to throw that out there. And what else? The other thing that I really love about amino acids is the effect of vitamin C. So I can't explain the mechanism of this, but I suspect it has something to do with vitamin C's antioxidant capacity. But should you try this and you try an amino acid and something weird happens. So let's say you have a child who's anxious and can't sleep, and you try GABA to see if it helps relax them, and they get more irritable, right? And they just get like tense. Can happen. So the first thing I would think of is, maybe you've given them too much. But what you can do is you can give them 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, just plain ascorbic acid, and that will help flush that GABA from the body faster, so that they will come back to baseline. So that's a wonderful little tool if you're, and that seems to work with all of the amino acids. So it makes them quite easy to experiment with. So, because I know a lot of people get really nervous, and when I started with amino acids, I was really nervous about them too, because I didn't quite understand them. But now that I understand them better, and I've seen them in action more, and we have this kind of fallback of vitamin C. It makes it something that's fairly easy to experiment with. So those are the things that I wanted to say. Like I said, I can't really give you specifics in terms of dosage and brands and things like that, but I would say, if you want to give this a go, read up about it. You can do that anywhere, really. Or you can go into my Advanced Nutrition for the Brain course. You can browse my website. There are just, do a Google search, see where that gets you. If you want more specifics, go into Advanced Nutrition for the Brain. And if you want even more specifics, then book a call with me and we can walk through it and tailor it to you. Be cautious. Always be cautious. If your child is on medication, be cautious. There are some that you can use with medication, but you do need to tread carefully. So definitely get some support if your child's on some kind of medication and you want to experiment with these. What else? Open them on the tongue, start slow. Don't consider them long term. Parents can do this to see what it feels like. You think about have the vitamin C. And Kristen, I got some very similar questions about it. People, actually all of the questions that I got were about GABA. People wanting to try GABA, which is just one of many amino acids that can be in your toolkit. I would say to you, GABA does so many, we have GABA receptors all over the body, and it helps in so many different ways. And there's, lots of conversation about whether it actually gets into the brain or not. But fact is, it seems to help relax the body. And it could be because it's acting on the peripheral nervous system. It could be because it's acting, there is some evidence that it does get into the central nervous system, but we're not, like the evidence, the research on it is in its infancy. But the clinical experience on it is much greater. I've seen GABA help with tummy aches just because it relaxes the muscles. I've seen it help with sleep. I've seen it help. What are some of the other things? Yeah, certainly anxiety, tension, like kids who just keep it all in and just need to just release. So it can help in a lot of different ways, and even blood sugar, sometimes it can help with blood sugar. Um, so yeah, I would say, just be cautious and start slow and build it up. With GABA, usually I give it in the evening, because it has such a relaxing effect, and sometimes it causes drowsiness. Although now that they don't really need to make their way through school days, if they get drowsy in the morning, it doesn't matter, because what I suggest usually with GABA is try it at night first. Um, but some kids do better with it earlier in the day. And if you want to do it earlier in the day and it causes drowsiness, there's one called GABA Calm that is mixed with tyrosine, and you can take the two amino acids together, and they kind of balance each other out. So it really depends. I, very, very. I mean, I have to stress again. I'm speaking very, very generally here, because we kind of have to tailor this to your child. But when it comes to GABA, just to answer the questions that were emailed to me, um, the one I like to start with is a combination of GABA and theanine, and I do that at night. And then if that seems to be like kind of working, but not really, then we might switch to a GABA tyrosine combo and do it earlier in the day, so it doesn't cause drowsiness, and see how that goes. So there is some trial and error. So if you have tried an amino acid and you're just like, didn't work, we can talk through why it didn't work. Maybe it did work in other ways that you weren't expecting. Like maybe it didn't work on the anxiety, but it worked on the tummy aches, or maybe it didn't work on, the tension, but it worked on the blood sugar or something like that, right? So sometimes you just need to know what you're looking for. And if you saw a backfiring of it, maybe it was the wrong form of GABA, and perhaps it was too much too fast. And the last thing I'll say about the amino acids is you want a good quality one. You don't want the over-the-counter drugstore stuff, because the quality really matters with these, and especially if they've added in any kind of fillers, or sometimes the sprays have flavors and things like that. A child could be reacting to that too. So you won't really know for sure whether it worked unless it's a really good brand and it's clean and it's pure, and you've given it in the right way. So I hope that helps answer those questions. Like I say, sometimes you can feel free to ask questions in the group here, but sometimes people are emailing me questions and it takes me a while to get back to them. The best way for me to answer them is in the group here. It's just more efficient, because I know for every person who sends me a question, there's probably 10, 12, 20 more who have the same question. So that's why I created this group, so that we can, have conversations like this. So that is my thought for today. Went longer than I expected. But that's my check-in for Monday. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm going to continue to do these check-ins, as hopefully not from my car. Again, it was the only quiet space that there was. But as long as you have questions that I can help you with, I will continue to do these check-ins and share my thoughts. We are in extraordinary times right now. I am feeling a massive surge of, I don't know, acceleration somehow. Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow. I don't know. I can't really explain it. Well, I can't explain it, but I'm definitely not feeling stagnant and stuck, and like everything is on hold, which I know some people are. I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling momentum. So anyway, we can talk about that too, but that's another topic for another time. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, you guys, and I will see you in the comments.